This is board.
Yeah.
We are talking about race boots.
Yes.
And there is a lot of coaches, athletes that want that boot really, really short and narrow into the length.
Yes.
Can you please?
Well, so the best way I think I can explain this is that you have the length of the foot, you have the width of the foot, but most importantly in ski boots, you have the vamp or the distance from here to the bottom of the foot.
Yes.
And in boot fitting, it's not so critical where the toe ends up, but critical that the heel ends up here and forced and pushed here by the hold down over the top of the foot and in this area here. So the forces are driven to the back of the boot.
Yes.
This distance on the foot does not determine the foot being held well in the boot. This area here, if we imagine this is my foot, this is my leg, when the foot is pushed all the way back and controlled by the buckles, that is where you have the ultimate control for change of direction and control over the skis.
Yes.
We don't want the foot moving around,
no.
But in terms of width, the boot just has to contact the foot everywhere.
Yeah.
And if you have issues that keep that from happening, so I'll give an example here where if you have some bone spurs.
Yes. That's from the top.
Yeah, this is a look at the foot.
Up.
But up at the first metatarsal, if you have a bursitis or a big bump,
Yeah.
and at the fifth, if you have a bump,
Fifth
and-
metatarsal. And if you
Yeah.
have on here,
and a styloid back here, these are all things where the shell will come in contact with these points. These points will be tight and will roll more, but then contact here is not so good headed behind because this is where the contact is. So you want the shell to be right up against the foot and make either a pocket by grinding or punching
Yes.
for the bumps, but in between those bumps you want the shell to be very much shaped like the foot, including coming around the bumps like the styloid,
Yeah.
and the bumps like the fifth metatarsal.
Yeah.
And so
But what about the space
this
in the front?
this space has absolutely nothing to do with performance. If the toes,
Excuse me, can you repeat that?
I can repeat that. The toes, when given freedom to be able to move or grip, give you much better proprioception of the snow, the edge, and the power if they're breathing and not locked. If you lock the toes, the ability to just balance on the foot changes. But by having the toes to have some freedom, warmer, more comfortable, and better proprioception of the impulses coming from the snow. If you lock this part of the foot up, balance becomes compromised.
Yes.
Behind this point, where the metatarsal heads are, the boot must be tight and gripping.
Yep.
So this part of the boot, the grip is critical, but up at the toes, not so much.
No.
Now, to get there, it's important to understand that this distance in the boot from here to here is lower in a smaller boot than in a larger boot. So if you have a foot that's low in here, you have to get into the smallest boot height-wise,
Yep.
which will sometimes compromise the toe length.
Yes.
However, you can always come back in and extend the toe with a heat punch.
Exactly.
So you don't need to
You
be
can punch
crushed.
and also grind a little bit,
Yeah,
maybe.
you can punch and you can grind to
Exactly.
give yourself more room at the toe, but the more critical fit and the reason why you might go to a small boot is for here, and then you accommodate here. If you go with a boot that's too large here, it will not only be too large here, but also too large in the front. So it's important to understand this measurement is critical
Yes.
and not so much here. especially if you're compromising the ability for the toe to feel. And a skier has to be able to stay on the mountain for more than an hour or two. And if it is so tight and so restrictive at the toes, you won't be able to do that. You'll get frostbite. You'll end up being back inside the lodge, not on the mountain.
Yeah.
So
a lot of pain,
suffering, potential danger with frostbite. You run the risk of actually losing a toe.
Yes.
So it's really critical to provide room here and not provide room here, because this is where you want the grip and this is where the power and control in the turn comes from in ski racing.
Excellent. Just one question, Jim.
Yes.
How many race boots have you made?
In a lifetime?
Yes.
I would say thousands.
Thousands.
But normally in a year in our business we do about 500 race boots a year.
Yeah. Okay.
From junior to World Cup level.
You are on the west side on US.
Yes.
So you've made for some big names like
where we live in Lake Tahoe. You have currently people like Travis Ganong, Bryce Bennett, Marie Michelle Gagnon from Canada is now living in Tahoe, and historically you have Julia Mancuso.
And you made a lot of those boots.
Yes, I've been making boots for those guys since they were little kids. And then currently some up and comers, Lila Lapagna and Mo LaBelle are two current additions to the World Cup from our area who I've been working with since they were teenagers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jim.